Okay, so Trump is, threatening war. For those of you who thought that Trump is Dove, that all he cares about peace, that he's this John Lennon figure, give peace a chance. Well, he's not, because Trump refuses to rule out use of military force to take control of Greenland and the Panama Canal. So that's great. I don't know, maybe I know Don Jr. was planning a trip to um was planning a trip to Greenland. So maybe he thought that, that it didn't go the way he wanted because Greenland's leader, I don't know what their leader is called because there's still a territory of Greenland, of Denmark, but he has said that we're not for sale. I don't know if Trump and Musk thought that because Greenland wants to become independent from Denmark, that somehow equates with Greenland wanting to become a part of the US. And if Don Jr.'s trip didn't go as they planned, so now they're threatening military action. That's about as much logic as I can so far figure out. So let's just get to his unhingedness. So President-elect Donald Trump on Tuesday said he would not rule out the use of military force to seize control of the Panama Canal and Greenland, as he declared U.S. control of both to be vital to American national security. Now, with Panama Canal, he's explained why that is, but he hasn't said anything about Greenland. I'm not sure what he thinks is happening in Greenland. Speaking to reporters less than 2 weeks before he takes office on January 20th, it's less than 2 weeks already, and as a delegation of aides and advisors that includes Donald Trump Jr. is in Greenland, Trump left open the use of the American military to secure both territories. Trump's intention marks a rejection of decades of U.S. policy that has prioritized self-determination over territorial expansion. And something else just popped into my head. Just like Trump is using tariffs as a bullying tactic to get other countries to do what he wants, it's entirely possible that something similar is going on here. That since Greenland wants to become independent, or maybe he thinks that Denmark will sell because they don't want a war with the US, but that he's doing this as a bullying tactic to get what he wants. Now, it doesn't sound like he's going to get it because both Denmark and Greenland said, no. So there is that. But when he did this shit in his first administration, wanting to buy Greenland, it was easy to laugh it off because he didn't have the backing of the military to do anything. He didn't have the backing of the Pentagon. But if he gets all the cabinet members he wants, like, say, Pete Hegseth, who would be more than happy to do whatever Trump says, then it suddenly doesn't become funny anymore. Because there are no longer any adults in the room. There are no guardrails. And Trump can do whatever unhinged thing he wants to do. Okay. I'm not going to commit to that, Trump said when asked if he would rule out the use of the military. It might be that you'll have to do something. The Panama Canal is vital to our country, he added. We need Greenland for national security purposes. Okay, why? Now, the Panama Canal being vital to the country, that is understandable because that is a major supply route. So that is understandable. Still not a reason to threaten to go to war with Panama. But at least that makes sense. How the hell is Greenland needed for national security purposes? I heard him on the news say something about how China and Russian ships are there. Okay, and so? I mean, even if we were to own Greenland, that's not going to stop the ships from going there unless Denmark tells Russia and China, that their territory is off limits. I just don't see how Greenland being owned by the US would change anything. I mean, Denmark doesn't want any nefarious shit going on either. So it's not like you'd be saving Greenland from the wrong side. They are anti-Russia and anti-China as well. So I'm not sure what you're gaining here. All right. Greenland, home to a large U.S. military base, is an autonomous territory of Denmark, a longtime U.S. ally and a founding member of NATO. Trump casts doubt on the legitimacy of Denmark's claim to Greenland. Of course he does. Because he always questions the legitimacy of anything that gets in the way of what he wants. The Panama Canal has been solely controlled by the Why is that word so hard? Eponymous country for more than 25 years. The U.S. returned the Panama Canal Zone to the country in 1979 and ended its joint partnership in controlling the strategic waterway in 1999. Addressing Trump's comments in an interview with Danish broadcaster TV2, Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen called the United States Denmark's most important and closest ally, and that she did not believe that the United States will use military or economic power to secure control over Greenland. That is so quaint that she thinks that. Like I said, it depends on who is the head of the Pentagon. If it's a yes man like Pete Hegseth, then no, you're being so naive and so sweet. But if the Senate puts their foot down and Trump ends up having to nominate someone who will act like an adult and not just do whatever Trump wants him to, then you're on safe ground. But you're assuming that the Trump's picks aren't going to get it. Because like I said, Pete Hegseth is a yes man, and that he would totally do this. Now, one could question whether the everyday troops and military generals who would be on the ground would follow that order. That's a different story. And the fact that Congress is the only one that can declare war. But the way this Congress is shaping up, because the Republicans control both houses, I wouldn't bet that Congress would put the brakes on Trump. Like I said, maybe they would, but I'm just not confident. Friedrichsen repeated that she welcomed the United States taking greater interest in the Arctic region, but that it would have to be done in a way that is respectful to the Greenlandic people, she said. Wait, you think that Trump cares about respect? That's so cute. The only respect he recognizes is people respecting him. He doesn't feel the need to respect others. So, at the same time, oops, yeah, I didn't miss that one. At the same time, it must be done in a way that allows Denmark and the United States to still cooperate in, among other things, NATO, Friedrichsen said. I'm sorry, did you miss the part about how Trump doesn't think highly of NATO and in his first term wanted to pull out of NATO? And now he's going to, if he gets everything he wants, he's going to have a good basis to pulling the U.S. out of NATO. So the fact that you think that any of that matters to Trump is cute. But maybe she's just saying all that because of what something else is going on behind the scenes. That could be true. That she's saying one thing, but shitting nails and trying to figure out what to do to prevent this potential catastrophe. Or maybe she's just simply waiting to see who ends up in his cabinet. Is it going to be some wackaloon like Pete Hegseth, who is drunk all the time? Or is it going to be an adult? And obviously, that's going to change how this threat manifests itself. All right. Earlier, Trump posted a video of his private plane landing in Nuuk. I hope I pronounced that right. The Arctic Territory's capital, in a landscape of snow-capped peaks and fjords. Don Jr. and my reps landing in Greenland, Trump wrote. The reception has been great. They and the free world need safety, security, strength, and peace, in all caps. This is a deal that must happen. MAGA, make Greenland great again. And MAGA and make Greenland great again is again in all caps. You have a very funny idea of peace there, Donald. You claim that we all need peace, but yet you're threatening military action if you don't get what you want. How is that peace exactly? But then again, this is the peace sign, and it's a V for victory, so maybe he thinks that peace through military means makes perfect sense. In a statement, Greenland's government said Donald Trump Jr.'s visit was taking place as a private individual and not as an official visit, and Greenlandic representatives would not meet with him. Which makes perfect sense, as Trump is not the freaking president yet. So even if Don Jr. was sent by Daddy to try to arrange a sale, they don't have to meet with him. Now, if it were Biden and his government, that would be different. Of course, Biden wouldn't do something as asinine, but still, they would meet with him because he's the president. He and his administration would be met with the Greenlandic government. They have absolutely no reason to meet with Don Jr., who, number one, is not part of the government right now. And I don't think that he was named to any part of the government by Trump. So, yeah. Two reasons why they can just brush him off and let him, treat this as a pleasure visit. Panamanian Foreign Minister Javier Martinez Acha said his government hasn't had formal contact with Trump or representatives of the incoming administration, but reiterated previous comments from the country's president, Jose Raul Mulino, who said last month that the canal will remain in Panamanian hands. Why are words hard for me today? The sovereignty of our canal is not negotiable and is part of our history of struggle and an irreversible conquest, Martinez Acha said. Trump, a Republican, has also floated having Canada join the United States as the 51st state. He said Tuesday that he would not use military force to invade the country, which is home to more than 40 million people and is a founding NATO partner. Why are we emphasizing NATO here? Trump has shown in his first administration he doesn't give two shits about NATO. So, but for those who aren't aware, he's referred to Justin Trudeau as the governor of the 51st state of Canada. So, yay. And Justin Trudeau has said that there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada will become the 51st state. But back to the article. Instead, he said he would rely on economic force as he cast the U.S. trade deficit with Canada, a natural resource-rich nation that provides the U.S. with commodities like crude oil and petroleum, as a subsidy that would be coming to an end. Okay, and granted, Canada does rely on the U.S. for a lot. But if Canada's the one giving the natural resources to the U.S., I would think that the Canadians would be in a better position because, we need those resources. I'm not entirely sure what Trump thinks he's doing, except for he has this strongman fetish that he so desperately wants to be a strongman that he will do whatever it takes to be seen as relevant. Anyway, Canadian leaders fired back after earlier dismissing Trump's rhetoric as a joke. Like I said, if this was the first Trump administration, I would too. But depending on who ends up in vital positions, it's not a joke anymore. President-elect Trump's comments show a complete lack of understanding of what makes Canada a strong country. Our economy is strong. Our people are strong. We will never back down in the face of threats, Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said in a post on X. Justin Trudeau, the country's outgoing prime minister, was even more blunt. There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States, he wrote. Promising a golden age of America, Trump also said he would move to try to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, saying that it has a beautiful ring to it. I'm sorry, what? There's a reason why it's called the Gulf of Mexico, because it borders Mexico. I'm not sure what Trump thinks, because it also kisses Florida, that somehow the U.S. has full ownership of it. I'm not sure what he thinks is happening, but I'm not sure he understands much of anything, really. And the people around him are taking every advantage of that. But the man is a real estate developer. So he just thinks buying land and naming things after, in this case, America, is the thing to do. That's why he has all of his properties and all of his ventures are named after him, because he thinks that that's how you do things. He also said he believes that NATO should dramatically increase its spending targets, with members of the Transatlantic Alliance committing to spend at least 5% of their GDPs on defense spending, up from the current 2%, which is a guideline. This was never something that nations had to do. That was always a guideline, to spend 2%. Ironically, Russia, who wants NATO to fall apart, actually is helping in that endeavor to get NATO nations to spend more, because now a lot of them are scared shitless that Russia is going to invade them. So they've increased their defense spending. So, Putin wanted to destroy NATO, and he's actually having the opposite effect. And, Trump is now, at first he wanted everyone to make that 2% goal, because he saw it as a hard number as opposed to just a guideline. And now he's moving it up to 5% because his buddy, Putin, has caused a lot of these nations to actually spend that much, if not more, because they're worried about Russia attacking them. So now Trump has to raise what he wants them to spend on national defense, because suddenly, thanks to Putin, they are spending the requisite amount because of their fears. So, yeah. In June, NATO announced a record 23 of its 32 member nations were on track to hit that target, as Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine has raised the threat of expanding conflict in Europe. Like I was saying. Trump also used his press conference to complain that President Joe Biden was undermining his transition to power, a day after the incumbent moved to ban offshore energy drilling in most federal waters. Right, because it's not like Trump did that, a bunch of last-minute executive orders that was going to make life harder for Joe Biden. That was okay, but if Joe Biden were to do stuff to ensure that the Republicans don't turn our planet into this noxious place to attempt to live, that's beyond the pale. Yeah, that makes sense. Biden, whose term expires in 2 weeks, used his authority under the Federal Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act to protect offshore areas along the east and west coasts, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and portions of Alaska's northern Bering Sea from future oil and natural gas leasing. All told, about 625 million acres of federal waters were withdrawn from energy exploration by Biden in a move that may require an act of Congress to undo. And given the incoming Congress, it could easily happen. I'm going to put it back on day one, Trump told reporters. He pledged to take it to the courts if we need to. Trump said Biden's effort, part of a series of final actions in office by the Democrats' administration, was undermining his plans for once he's in office. Again, you had no problem doing that yourself. They told me that we're going to do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth, Trump said. It's not smooth. Okay. Obviously, his idea of smooth is that Biden just, lie down, become a welcome mat and Trump and not do anything that Trump doesn't like. That basically he's suddenly an extension of Trump's administration. That is not how this works. He is still fulfilling his administration. The point of the transition is to keep you in the loop, not to just kowtow to your every whim. Anyway. All right. But Biden's team has extended access and courtesies to the Trump team that the Republican former president initially denied Biden after his 2020 election victory. Trump incoming Chief of Staff Susie Wiles told Axios in an interview published Monday that Biden Chief of Staff Jeff Zients has been very helpful. Right, because they actually are adults. In extended remarks, Trump also railed against the work of special counsel Jack Smith, who oversaw now-dropped prosecutions over his role in the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol and possession of classified documents after he left office in 2021. The Justice Department is expected to soon release a report from Smith surrounding his investigation after the criminal cases were forced to an end by Trump's victory in November, which Judge Cannon has now put a kibosh on. Judge Cannon has put a stop to the release of the report because all along, all she's cared about is protecting the man who put her in the position she's in. And so she's going to do it as much as possible. So yeah, that's where things stand. I don't know if we're going to get the report. I don't know if he's going to appeal. And I don't know how that would work. Would that be a direct appeal to the Supreme Court? And if so, would they rule against Trump? My guess is no. No, they would not rule against Trump. So, yeah, those of us who actually want Trump held accountable for basically anything that he's done, yeah, it's not been a good time for us right now. So, yeah, as of now, it seems like he's going to get away with everything, even the stuff that he's already been previously indicted for and convicted on, which Trump is having a fit about that as well because he doesn't like that he's getting off with no punishment. He needs to be told that he's a good little boy or something. Because, dude, you're not being punished. Why are we having a hissy fit still? Same thing like with the Des Moines Register and Ann Seltzer's poll. You won. Even if there was election interference, you beat it. So why do we have our nose bent out of shape? The reason is he's a flaming narcissist and he can't handle that there might be somebody who does not like him. And he wants to prevent the American people from not liking him because all he cares about is being liked. Which he has a very strange way of showing he wants to be liked. But that's in a nutshell what he wants. He wants to be liked, he wants to be respected. And if there are people out there who do not do those things, he's going to attack them whether it's going to lead to anything or not. Because that's just how Trump is. And unfortunately, way too many people in the tech industry, in the media, are kowtowing to him. They're going against, what is his name? Timothy Snyder, who wrote about authoritarianism. do not obey in advance. And there are way too many people who are doing just that. They're obeying in advance because they are so scared of Trump. Which, like I said, given this circumstance, rather than the first Trump administration, there's a lot to be afraid of. I'm not going to say there isn't. But how does that help anybody? How does that help you when at the end of the day, the very journalists who are right now kissing Trump's ass are going to be thrown away or made to say whatever Trump wants them to say? I'm not sure how that helps anybody. Because why would it help anybody? It would help Trump, definitely, but anybody else? No. So anyway, that is all I have for this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.